Nothing in my electorate, not one single election commitment. All the pork went down the road. Nothing for the most disadvantaged community in the whole of Melbourne, a city of 5 million people, the most disadvantaged council, not $1 from this mob. Family violence through the roof, highest in the state, in the southeast of Melbourne. Do you think we got anything from the minister's $60 million family violence slush fund for new housing for women and children fleeing homelessness? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The last Labor government, with a much lower debt and a much lower deficit, at least left a legacy. Built the national broadband network which this mob stuffed up. We left 20,000 social housing units still there today. We created an asset for people to live in. Education infrastructure, urban transport infrastructure, we left a legacy. What's this government actually done? When we left government, let's just go back to debt. Federal net debt in Australia was 11% of the OECD average, 11%. This mob have got to 36% and it's going to touch 45%. That's what their budget papers say. But that's not because of COVID. 2/3 of the debt in this budget was borrowed before the pandemic by the Liberals. They more than doubled the national debt before COVID. This budget, if you read it, exposes the hypocrisy of the fear and scare campaign they've run for years. I mean, there's taxes. We hear about taxes all the time in question time. We're for lower taxes. Well, this budget that they've introduced locks in a tax hike for Australians on modest incomes, but after the election. We'll just kick that little can down the road till after the election. The Treasurer's saying, well, you know, the offset will have to end sometime. It's a temporary tax break for average income earners. Yet the highest income earners in the country enjoy a permanent tax cut forever. And that's number 2 point of Liberal economic management, to deliver tax cuts for those who need them least, and they pay for this by undercutting and underfunding income support and spending for struggling families, for childcare, for pensions, health, education, aged care. That's the point of them. Boost profits to big business, cut the share of the economy going into people's pockets through wages, and then cut taxes for the top end and raise taxes at the bottom end. That's what this budget does, in black and white. They exist to protect those who already have wealth, to keep wages low and to protect those who already have the most. Infrastructure, we heard actually the previous speaker, he was saying, well, infrastructure is standard in a coalition budget. That's what he said, I wrote it down. 8 long years, the nonsense marketing scam where every budget they announce projects that they actually don't build. They pretend to deliver infrastructure, budget after budget. Prime Minister goes out with that idiotic grin and the hard hat and the thumbs up and honking the horn in the truck. $100 billion. We heard that last year. It's $100 billion. Heard that again. But it's a scam. Last week in Victoria, they quietly announced, when they thought there was a bigger announcement coming, they buried it in the paper. Actually, you know those railway station car parks we promised around Melbourne? Well, we're not going to build them anymore. It's too hard. They announced it. They campaigned on it. They put the leaflets out. But we're not going to actually build them. Thompson's Road in southeast Melbourne. Oh, we're not actually going to fund that duplication and extension. No, it's too hard. But my favourite, the member for Hindmarsh, has told us about the North-South corridor in Adelaide, the North-South corridor. There is one little bit of the North-South corridor got built. It was because Albo, the leader of the opposition now, when he was the infrastructure minister, announced it, funded it in 2012 and it was finished. I think Tony Abbott turned up to the announcement, took the credit for it, but it was a Labor government that funded it. But this government, the Liberals, have announced this project 8 times, 8 budgets in a row. They've never built it, they just announced it. Again, they've announced it 2 weeks ago. Except they say, well, we'll start it in 2023 and it's going to take 10 years to build. 8 times they've announced it, but now they say they'll start it in 2 years and take another 10 years. It's a joke. If you read the numbers, though, this budget actually cuts infrastructure funding. Black and white, it's in the tables. They're cutting infrastructure funding by $3.3 billion. But they're out there in the hard hats, with the shovels, with the fluoro vests on. It's a scam. It's a marketing scam, led by a failed ad man, this government. You can't believe anything they announced. Remember the centrepiece of last year's budget? Job maker? Job faker? The Prime Minister told us it was going to create 450,000 jobs. 450,000, it created 1,000 and they've dumped it this year. They see government as a never-ending marketing exercise, not to leave a legacy, but just to stop us getting in and doing anything, like Medicare, the the disability scheme, universal superannuation, the world's first disability pension in 1908. We called it the invalid pension by a Labor government. NDIS, universal services, things that Labor governments build and the Liberals try and stop and cut.